Hello everyone, Xanaro Gaming coming at y'all with another video, and we are doing deck profile videos for the Bleach Volume 2 set. Now, this set is a little interesting because it is our first Volume 2 set that we're getting for the English card game for Unionarena, and it's really cool, right? I think that a lot of people are hyped to finally get these cards for these Bleach decks, but one thing is to note, I think there are two cards that they ended up not giving us. Just to keep some of these decks from being like really crazy, I do think that we're still missing the Rukia for the other deck color and stuff like that. But outside of that, all these listings of the cards should be on experts.dev or any other site that you use to, you know, make your deck list. But I like to use experts. The guy that makes this site always is such a pleasure to work with and communicate with. But for the first deck profile, I am doing the deck that I'm the most excited about. To preference this, I don't play any Bleach decks outside of the purple Ichigo deck, but I do have a lot of other friends that are really into Bleach, and they all play these decks, so I'm very familiar with the decks and what they do. Now, my deck build may be a little bit different than theirs, but I want to give everyone some kind of like decent basis to go off of. And Kenpachi is definitely the one I am most hyped for. I think that he is such a strong card coming out of this set. This is the new Kenpachi. I do think the Kenpachi package from the past set and then the couple of new cards he got for this set are just so powerful. And I think that if I were to build one deck from Bleach, it would be Kenpachi, because I think he is such a straight G. He is so cool. Even though, you know, like Unionarena is my favorite character out of all these green cards, I don't know if like the deck that I would want to build with her is amazing at this moment. But to get into this deck profile, sorry for ranting for 2 minutes, but this is the new Kenpachi Zaraki. He is 13 court guard squads, 4 energy, 1 action point. He does give you 1 energy, and he hits 4,000 plus BP, right? So we know we're going to get a boost on this ability. You can rate it on top of Kenpachi, which is a big deal because we did get a 0-drop Kenpachi in this set, and we did also get another Kenpachi, so you can rate him on top of your 4-drop Kenpachis if you must, but you really don't want to do that because you're trying to rush people down with these Kenpachis and get in a lot of damage and them not be able to mess with these guys. But you can rate it on top of Kenpachi and then move it to the front line. This character is not affected by BP reducing abilities, and that is part of what makes Kenpachi so strong. Your opponent cannot touch your Kenpachis with those effects, and those effects are pretty relevant in the game at the moment, right? It always has impact as long as you're rated, and then it says if the base card of this rated character has 4 or more required energy, this character gains all abilities listed below. If this character leaves the field due to one of your opponent's abilities or battle, you may place 1 card from your hand to your sideline instead. If you do, place the top card from this rated character into your sideline. So, meaning if your opponent would try to get rid of this Kenpachi and you have a 4-drop underneath it, then you can just trash a card from your hand and then trash this Kenpachi to keep the 4-drop that was played underneath it, right? And then it has a separate effect that says when played, this character gains 1,000 BP and damage 2 until the end of the turn. This is really good. One thing to note, I do think that this is included all on the card, right? Because the way it is worded here, it says the base card has 4 or more, then this character gains all abilities listed below, meaning everything below this card. So if you do not have a 4 and you do rate on top of the 0, then it is only going to get the impact 1, just to make sure that you guys are aware. But if you do have a 4-drop, then when it's played on top of it, it gains 1,000 BP, so it'll be 5,000, damage 2, impact 1. That is so powerful, and that is exactly what we're looking for Kenpachi. Being a 4 energy, 1 action point card, this card is very powerful. Really amazing card. Glad to have it in the game. I wanted to touch on that one first, and then we can get into the other cards that we were running. It's just the way that it ordered this. It put this one down here, but I would normally have it over here on the right side. But with that being said, we are running 4 of the old Kenpachi as well. This one is so good. The 4 energy, 2 action point card. 4,000 BP doesn't generate you any energy, but that is for a good reason. It is a draw trigger in live, so it adds consistency to the deck, but you don't get to add this card to your hand, which is a little unfortunate. This card cannot be played onto or moved onto your energy line. So when you play this one out, you must play it on your front line. It always has impact 1, which is such a good thing for it to have, and it says when played, choose up to 1 character with 2,000 less BP on your opponent's front line and sideline it. If 6 or more other 13 court guard squad Affinity cards are on your field, 4,000. So this is a kill spell for the deck. You play him out, you get to pop one of your opponent's bodies, and we have ways in this deck to restand this Kenpachi whenever we play it, so it should be able to come in active half of the time. And since it is a Kenpachi deck, we are going to run the other Kenpachi because this one is so good as well, right? 4 energy, 1 action point, 4,000 plus BP, is an active trigger in life, so not a get trigger again, which is a little unfortunate, but it is a good trigger to have regardless. It generates you 1 energy. It says this character is not affected by BP reducing abilities, right? Which is what we want. And during your turn, he's a 5k, so this is really strong. We have ways to give this character added keywords too, so this card is really strong. I'm maxing out on 4 of all the different Kenpachis that we can play because they are so strong, and it is a Kenpachi deck, and I think the best way to do it is to just rush your opponent down with all these good 4Ks and then make them have their answer him, which is going to be a little hard because your opponent cannot reduce the BP of these two, while the 4-drop 2 action point one can be cleared by those effects, right? Staying with the 4 drops, we do have 4 energy, 2 action point Shinji, 4,000 BP, generates you 1 energy. It is a draw trigger in life, and it says when played, choose up to one of the following. So you pick one of these effects. If it's on the front line, choose 2 characters with 2,000 less BP on your, and whose BP are the same on your opponent's front line, and sideline them. So you pick 2 characters that are 2,000 or less, and then if they are, you did get to pick them, you sideline them. So this is another kill spell for the deck. You can really punish your opponent early for putting up bodies, and then play this down, clear those out, because a lot of people, the way that how aggressive the game is playing those 1-drop, 2-drop, 2Ks on the board early to pressure the game. If on your turn 2 or 3 you're able to be at that 4 energy and you're able to play this character out, you could just clear those bodies and it feels really good. But even if you don't get to do that, he says choose up to 1 character with 3,000 or more BP on your opponent's front line and switch it to resting. Switch this character to active. So you get to either, clear the 2 bodies or put something resting that's small and stand this character back up, which is going to be a big swing play that your opponent may not see coming. And this is a new card coming out of the new set, whereas these other ones are old cards. I'll try to make sure I distinguish that. So this Shinji is a new one. I do think probably a lot of people are going to play a bunch of this one, but it is a 2 action point card, which is a little unfortunate, but it comes at such a big swing play that I do think it needs to be 2. Now, going down the line to our 3 drops, we do run Ikkaku, and it is 3 energy, 1 action point, 3,500 BP, which are good stat lines for a 3 drop. It generates you 1 energy, and it just has a draw trigger in life, which is great because you're going to be consistent in this deck, being able to play out all these good bodies and draw them and see cards from your deck to your hand. It's a 3,500 BP double blocker. Now, this is so good, being able to, just wall your opponent out. Take the 4K swings if you need to, but then block out the little bodies. This guy is so strong, so good. I think it is essential in the deck. I do know a lot of people like to play more of this other card we'll be coming into, but I do think having a double blocker with how aggressive the meta is at the moment, I think that this is an essential card to play in your Kenpachi decks. Now, continuing with the 3 drops, we are running 2 of the Sanjin, 3 energy, 1 action point, double energy generator, 3,500 plus BP. It has step, which is really important. This is going to be the one that you want to play out early and then move it back and forth as you see fit. And it has, when attacking, choose up to 1 13 court guard affinity on your field, and it gains 500 BP until the end of the turn, which is really important because if you can boost up these Kenpachis, now you're able to swing into your opponent and they're not going to want to be able to block out because you're going to be so much bigger than them, or he just helps you keep some of these other characters to be, a big enough threshold to really press the state of the game. And if I didn't say it a second ago, it is an active trigger. But you see, this is a really good toolbox deck. From this point on, we're running 2s across the board until we get to the 0 drops. And I do think that this Kenpachi deck leads to a lot of different ways for you to be able to play it. I'm just trying to be pretty even with getting as many keywords in the deck and being as versatile as possible. With that being said, we are running 2 of the Shunsui, 3 energy, 1 action point, 2,500 BP, double energy generator. It is a draw trigger in life, and this guy has damage too. Like, we can boost him up with the Sajin if we need to, which gives him, 23,000 damage too. They're gonna want to block this card. With that being said, you can also give this character impact with the next guy we're going to bring up. But 2 of the Shunsui, really strong card. We are running 2 of the Shinji, the 2 energy, 1 action point, 3000 BP, 1 energy generator. It is an active trigger in life, and it says when played, choose up to one of your 13 court guards. It gains impact plus 1. If the card does not have impact, it gains impact until the end of the turn. So the way that this card is worded is so good because you stack the impacts because it is giving you plus 1. So then you can add it to these Kenpachis, and now your Kenpachis are doing impact 2, and this one will have damage 2 for the turn when you play it. So really, really strong being able to swing in and get this damage in. You really want to give to this one so that way it could do the damage 2, impact 2, whereas even if you give this one impact 2, it doesn't have the damage, right? But you want to give to this one. This one is the one you really, really, really want to do. But this card is so good. It's a 3000 BP body, and you can see we run a lot of good 3000 BP bodies to rush our opponent down, and then we have a ton of 4K bodies to drop later. Now, this will probably be the most controversial card in the deck that I am playing, but I am only running 2 of the color trigger Toshiro. This is not a Toshiro deck. I am not running any Toshiros in the deck, but I do think that having 2 of this color trigger comes up, and I'm mainly not, it's not even the color trigger while I'm running it, it's because he's a 3000 BP body for 2 drop, and if you have 6 or more other 13 court guards, it goes up by 5, so it's really, really strong, and that's a permanent boost. Yours and your opponent's turn to have this 3500 BP body is super strong, and the color trigger is an added benefit. But in this deck, in this build, you're not, you can see now, this is our, we're just now getting out to these 2 drops, and a lot of these 2 drops you're going to be already playing out, so this color trigger won't come out a ton because we run a lot of 4 and 3 drops, and these are the main cards we want to get to. So with that being said, we don't have a lot of 2 or lowers that we really want to play out in the first place. Going down the line, we are running 2 of the Yachiru, 1 energy, 1 action point, generation 1 energy, 2000 BP, an active trigger in life, and it says, when played, choose up to 1 Kenpachi card on your field and switch it to active. So this is how we're going to be able to get these combo plays out. You can play this Kenpachi down for the double action points, pop something on the board, and then play the Yachiru, which will then let you stand up the Kenpachi. But regardless, if you do just play this Kenpachi down, you could play her out afterwards, and then now he is standing up, being able to swing for 5k. Your opponent will not be able to see that coming in most cases. We are running 2 of the Nanoi, 1 energy, 1 action point, double energy generator bouncers. These are cards that I say I love in my decks, but they do become a little redundant later in the game. But you really only want to see these coming out on your first 2 turns, 3 turns in the game, because outside of that, they are a little slower. But it is one of our few low drop double energy generators where you can see here, we are only running 4 of these other 2. And with that being said, you want the names of the 13 court guards to be high. And if you run a lot of double energy generators, then you're putting yourself in a position where, you actually want to have 3 on the back line, 3 on the front line to make all your effects active. Whereas if you do run a ton of double energy generators, you could be a little more aggressive of just throwing the bodies out up front. But you only need to really see 1 of these on your energy line, and you want the other 2 slots to be filled with 1 drops. And that's just how you're going to be able to keep your names up high, right? With that being said, we are running 2 more Yachirus. This is the 1 energy, 1 action point, 1000 BP, 1500 BP, generation 1 energy. It is a draw trigger in life, and it says activate main, switch to resting, and then sideline this card. Choose up to 1 Kenpachi on your field. It gains impact plus 1, or give it damage plus 1 until the end of the turn. This is such a strong card, being able to let us boost up our Kenpachis. Now, you may be wondering, like, if these cards are so important and they are, like, set to help out Kenpachi, you really only want to do these plays, once or twice each game, so you don't want them to clog up your hand, because in some instances you may not have a Kenpachi down, and it may not be advantageous for you to always try to give it this boost. Now, I do think that if you want to up these a little bit, then it would take away from the stars of the show, from these, like, 3 drops, where you would have to take some of them down to play these. I do think the Yachirus are really, really good, but in very specific instances, you do want to see them, but not all the time, right? But they are really, really good. You can see now we can give our Kenpachis the impact plus 1 or the damage plus 1 with this character. We can give it another impact plus 1 here and stand them up to active. So we have a lot of different ways to really increase the strength of our Kenpachis, and we can also boost up this Shunsui here. We are only running 2 of the Shuhei 0 energy, 1 action point, 1500 plus BP, 1 energy generator, draw trigger in life, because it says if you have 6 or more other 13 quirk guard affinity cards on the field, it gains another 1500. So this could be a 0 drop, 3000 BP body later in the game, which could come up. I'm choosing to run this one over the other 0 drop because I think that having a 0 drop that can be relevant later in the game is super important. And running 4 of the Ikaku. This is one of your main consistency cards in the deck, and I do think you need to run it at a 4 of. 0 energy, 1 action point, 1500 BP, generates you 1 energy. It is an active trigger, and when played, draw 1, then place 1 from your hand into the sideline. So a good consistency piece to be able to draw trash from your deck. And to finally round out the deck, 4 of the brand new 0 drop Kenpachi. Yes, he finally got one, which is really, really good. I was curious what BP they were going to give this card since it is a Kenpachi. I was like, maybe they'll give him 25 or 3, but that was pushing it a little bit, I know. But I am happy to see that he is a 2000 BP body. No effect on the field, active trigger in life. Really unfortunate that he wasn't a get trigger. I think that that would have made the deck really, really consistent. But you can just hard play down your Kenpachis here. And then if you need to raid on top of it with this one, you can. And in some cases, you don't feel bad just hard playing this Kenpachi and, you know, having a 4K on the board if you can't raid it. I do think that this is a really, really good deck. I almost forgot about the events. We are running 2 of this Captain's Coat. This is boost all your 13 court guards by 1,000 until the end of the turn, and you draw a card. So you boost your whole board by 1,000, you get to draw a card, and now you're really pushing the pace of the game against your opponent. It is an active trigger in life, which is really good too. I think that this card is essential in the deck to be able to let you, you know, sometimes you can have 2 of these in your hand. If your board is already full, it's not a dead card because now you just boost everything by 2,000, and now you have like a 4,500 damage to Sutsui coming in, or, you know, some other shenanigans, which is really, really strong. And then just 4 of our 0 energy, or our final triggers, and 4 of our special triggers. The Kenpachi special trigger is a new card that we are finally getting to the game, and it is, of course, his Nozarashi, which is his sword. So cool to finally see this on an art. 4 energy, 1 action point, special trigger in life. Choose 1 character with 3,000 less PP on your opponent's front line and sideline it if you have a Kenpachi on the board, or you have a Yichiru or Yachiru 5,000 or less. So really, really good, because if you have the Yachirus or a Kenpachi, you get to just blow up a 5k or less. It is a really good card. I do think that Kenpachi, I really hope that a lot of people pick this deck up and play it, because I'm a big believer in Kenpachi. I've always thought that he was a really, really strong character in the show and in this current card game, and I do think that he has a little bit better of legs to stand on now, and I do think that it is a great toolbox deck where you could build it a lot of different ways. But with that being said, that is the deck profile video. I'll work on getting a couple of more Bleach decks out, but it'll probably be like decks that I want to build and like to play. Probably not a ton of like the generic, you know, build a Bleach deck like this stuff, mainly because, like I said, I'm not a huge Bleach player. I do love and respect Bleach, and I have watched the show. It's a really fun, cool show, but there's so many IPs in the show, and this has been one of the ones I've chosen to not go all the way in on, but I will be looking to trade for and build some of these decks now that I know that the support is out there for me to be able to build them the way I want to. But let me know what you guys think about this deck profile. Do you think that Kenpachi is going to be a good deck? I want to hear it in the comments below. I am a green Kenpachi believer, and you guys know I love the color green. But leave the video a like, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate everyone hanging out with me today. Peace.